Hello dear students, hope you all are safe and fine and very eager to study today's lesson. Today we shall study lesson 5 of science, the fundamental unit of life for class 9th. But before we begin with our lesson, I would like to ask a few simple questions from you. And children, I think answering these questions will help to recall a few important points related to this topic that you might have studied in your previous classes. So children, ready to answer the questions? Here is your first question. What are the characteristics of living beings? Probably you would answer that all living beings, they move from one place to another. They respire, grow and can reproduce. Your next question, what are these living things made up of? Yes, the correct answer is that all living things are made up of cells. My next question is, can you children please tell me any one example of unicellular or single-celled organisms? Most probably you would answer amoeba or paramecium. Now children, tell me what is the basic structure of the cells and what are the different organelles present in the cell? Perhaps answering this question is not that easy for you. So, let us study these topics in our today's lesson. Today we will learn that what are living beings made up of. Then we will study what is the structural organization of a cell. And towards the end of the lesson, we will discuss about different cell organelles and their functions. Do you know children that cells were first discovered by Robert Hooke? Robert Hooke took thin slices of cork and observed them under a microscope. He noticed some boxes or compartments in these cork slices. To him, these boxes appeared like a honeycomb. Then he also noticed that one such box was separated from the other by a wall or a partition. He named these boxes as cell. And children, we use the same term, that is the cell, even today. Cell is the basic unit of our life. Children, let us now try to observe the structure of cells by looking at the cell of an onion peel under a microscope. For this, we will have to perform an activity. Follow the following steps to perform this activity. Take a small piece from an onion bulb. Now, with the help of a pair of forceps, peel off the skin from the concave side of the onion. Now, immediately put this layer in a watch glass containing water in order to prevent it from getting folded or getting dry. Now, take a glass slide, put a drop of water on it and transfer a small piece of peel from the watch glass to the slide. Make sure that the peel is perfectly flat on the slide. Now, put a drop of safranin solution on it and cover it with a cover slip. Take care to avoid air bubbles while putting the cover slip, so always use a mounting needle to place it. In this way, we will be able to prepare a temporary mount of onion peel. On observing this slide under a compound microscope, we will be able to clearly see the cells of onion peel. Children, we can try preparing temporary mounts of peels of onions of different sizes. But on observing and comparing the cells of these different slides, we will find structures similar in shape and size in all the slides, irrespective of the size of onions taken. This means that onions are made up of cells which are similar in shape and size. And not only onions, but all living organisms which we can see are made up of cells. Types of living organisms. Living organisms are of two types, unicellular organisms and multicellular organisms. Amoeba, Chlamydomonas, Paramecium, bacteria and an ostrich egg are some of the examples of unicellular organisms. On the other hand, humans and all animals are examples of multicellular organisms. Multicellular organisms have different types of cells. Human body also has many different kinds of cells like nerve cells, fat cells, sperm, ovum, blood cells and smooth muscle cells. There is division of labor in multicellular organisms such as human beings. This means that different parts of the body perform different functions. Like the human body has a heart to pump blood and a stomach to digest the food. Similarly, division of labor is also seen in single-celled organisms like amoeba. In fact, each cell has got certain specific components within it known as cell organelles. Each cell organelle performs a special function. A cell is able to live and perform all its functions because of these organelles. Interestingly, all cells are found to have the same organelles no matter what is their function or what organisms they are found in. If we have to define the cell organelles, then the definition will be: each cell has got certain specific components within it to perform specific functions. These are called as cell organelles. Children, now let us learn what is the structural organization of a cell. If we observe a cell under a microscope, you will observe that almost every cell has three main parts. They are plasma membrane, nucleus and cytoplasm. First of all, let us study about plasma membrane, also called as cell membrane. Plasma membrane is the outermost covering of the cell. It allows or permits the entry and exit of some material in and out of the cell. It also prevents movement of some other materials. It is for this reason that plasma membrane is also called selectively permeable membrane. Now the question arises that how does the movement of substances take place in and out of the cell? We have studied about the process of diffusion in our earlier classes. Children, you already know that there is a spontaneous movement of substances from a region of high concentration to a region of low concentration due to diffusion. Something similar to this happens in cells also. Carbon dioxide is a cellular waste and needs to be excreted out of the cell. When this carbon dioxide accumulates in high concentrations inside the cell, it starts moving out of the cell where the concentration of carbon dioxide is low due to the process of diffusion. Similarly, oxygen enters the cell by the process of diffusion. When the level of oxygen inside the cell decreases, water also obeys the law of diffusion. The movement of water molecules through a selectively permeable membrane is called osmosis. To understand the phenomena of osmosis, children, You can perform this activity along with me. As the eggshell is made up of calcium carbonate, it can be removed by dissolving it in dilute hydrochloric acid. You will see that a thin outer covering skin now encloses the egg. Now, keep this egg overnight in pure water. You will see that the egg swells up. Now, put this swollen egg in a concentrated salt solution. After about 5 to 6 hours, you will find that the egg shrinks. Again, put this shrinked egg back in water and leave for about half an hour. You will observe that the egg becomes swollen once again. What an interesting activity, isn't it, children? Let me now explain you what actually is causing the swelling and shrinking of the egg. This is due to the process of osmosis. In the first case, when we had put the egg in pure water, the amount of water inside the egg was less than the amount of water outside. So, water moved from outside where the concentration of water was higher into the egg where the concentration of water was less, and hence the egg swelled up. Whereas in the second case, when we had put the egg in a concentrated salt solution, the amount of water outside was lesser than that inside the egg. So, water moved out from the egg, resulting in shrinking of the egg. I hope, children, this activity has helped you to understand that how water moves from high concentration to low concentration due to osmosis. Children, do you know that if a cell is kept in a solution, then we can get 3 types of solutions. First of all, we can have hypotonic solution. If the medium surrounding the cell has a higher water concentration than the cell will gain water by osmosis. Such a solution is known as hypotonic solution. The second type of solution is isotonic solution. If the medium has exactly the same water concentration as the cell, there will be no net movement of water across the cell membrane. Such a solution is known as isotonic solution. The next type is hypertonic solution. If the medium has a lower concentration of water than the cell will lose water by osmosis. Such a solution is known as hypertonic solution. Thus, diffusion plays an important role in exchange of gases and water in the life of a cell. The plasma membrane is flexible, and this flexibility of the cell membrane enables the cell to engulf in food and other materials from its external environment. Such a process is known as endocytosis. Amoeba acquires its food through such a process of endocytosis. Children, next we will study about cell wall. In plant cells, in addition to the plasma membrane, there is another rigid outer covering called the cell wall. It is mainly composed of cellulose. Cellulose is a complex substance and provides structural strength to the plants. Cell wall permits the cell of plants, fungi and bacteria to withstand very dilute external media without bursting. In such a media, the cell tends to take up water by the process of osmosis. The cell swells, building up pressure against the cell wall. The wall exerts an equal pressure against the swollen cell. Because of their walls, plant cells can withstand much greater changes in their surrounding medium than the animal cells. Children, now we will study about the nucleus and cytoplasm of the cell. Children, won't it be interesting if the nucleus itself tells you about its structure and function? So let us hear the nucleus telling you everything about itself. I am the nucleus of the cell. I regulate all the activities of the cell. I am covered by a double-layered covering called nuclear membrane. This covering has very small pores in it to allow the transfer of material from my inner side to outside. Do you know, children? I have thread-like structures in me called as chromosomes. They are visible as rod shape when the cell is about to divide. These chromosomes contain information for inheritance of features from parents to next generation in the form of DNA, that is deoxyribonucleic acid. Functional segments of DNA are called genes. In a cell which is not dividing, this DNA is present as part of chromatin material. This chromatin material is visible as entangled mass of thread-like structures. Whenever the cell is about to divide, the chromatin material gets organized into chromosomes. You cannot see me in well-defined manner in organisms like bacteria due to absence of a nuclear membrane. Such an undefined nuclear region containing only nucleic acids is called a nucleoid. Such organisms whose cell lack a nuclear membrane are called prokaryotes, where pro means primitive or primary and karyot means the nucleus. The organisms with the cells having nuclear membrane are called eukaryotes. Let us now study the difference between prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. Size of prokaryotic cells is generally small in comparison to the size of eukaryotic cells. The size of prokaryotic cells varies from 1 to 10 micrometer. 1 micrometer is equal to 10 to the power minus 6 meters, whereas the size of eukaryotic cells ranges from 5 to 100 micrometer. Prokaryotic cells have a single chromosome, whereas eukaryotic cells have more than one chromosome. In prokaryotic cells, membrane-bound cell organelles are not present, whereas in eukaryotic cells, membrane-bound cell organelles are present. Children, just now you heard the nucleus giving all information about itself. Now we will study about the cytoplasm. When we observe a cell under a microscope, we can see a large region which takes up very little stain. This region is enclosed by a cell membrane and is called the cytoplasm. The cytoplasm is fluid-filled content inside the cell membrane and contains many specialized cell organelles. Let us study about these cell organelles one by one in detail. First of all, we will study about mitochondria. Mitochondria are known as the powerhouse of the cell. This is because they provide the energy required for various chemical activities needed for life in the form of ATP, that is adenosine triphosphate molecules. The body uses energy stored in the form of ATP for making new chemical compounds and for mechanical work. Mitochondria are strange organelles in the sense that they have their own DNA and ribosomes. Therefore, mitochondria are able to make some of their own proteins. Now we will study about endoplasmic reticulum. The endoplasmic reticulum is a large network of membrane-bound tubes and sheets. There are two types of endoplasmic reticulum. The rough endoplasmic reticulum, also called RER, and the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, also called SER. RER looks rough under a microscope because it has ribosomes attached to its surface. These ribosomes help in protein synthesis. The manufactured proteins are then sent to various places in the cell depending on need. The smooth endoplasmic reticulum helps in the manufacture of fat molecules or lipids important for cell function. Some of these proteins and lipids help in building the cell membrane, and this process, children, is known as membrane biogenesis. One function of ER is to serve as channels for the transport of materials, especially proteins, between various regions of the cytoplasm or between the cytoplasm and the nucleus. In the liver cells of the vertebrates, SER plays a crucial role in detoxifying many poisons and drugs. After this, let us now study about another important cell organelle, that is Golgi apparatus. Children, Camillo Golgi was the first person to study and describe about Golgi apparatus. It consists of a system of membrane-bound vesicles. These are arranged almost parallel to each other in stacks called cisterns. The material synthesized near the ER is packaged and dispatched to various targets through Golgi apparatus. Its functions include storage, modification, and packaging of products in vesicles. The Golgi apparatus is also involved in the formation of lysosomes. Lysosomes, they are a kind of waste disposal system of the cell. They contain powerful digestive enzymes which help to keep the cell clean by digesting any foreign material as well as worn out cell organelles. If the cell gets damaged, lysosomes may burst and release the digestive enzymes which may digest their own cells. Therefore, lysosomes are also known as suicidal bags of a cell. Next cell organelle, plastids. Plastids are present only in plant cells. They are of two types, chromoplasts and leucoplasts. Stroma. The internal organization of the plastids consists of numerous membranous layers embedded in a material, and this material is the stroma. Like mitochondria, plastids also have their own DNA and ribosomes. That means They can also synthesize their own proteins. Lastly, let us talk about another cell organelle, the vacuoles. Vacuoles are storage sacs for solid or liquid contents. Vacuoles are small sized in animal cells, while plant cells have very large vacuoles. In plant cells, vacuoles are full of cell sap and provide turgidity and rigidity to the cell. In single-celled organisms like amoeba, the food vacuole contains the food items that amoeba has consumed. Children, let us now quickly revise whatever we have learned today in the chapter. Today, we have learned that the fundamental organizational unit of life is the cell. The cells are enclosed by a cell membrane, and the cell membrane is an active part of the cell. In plant cells, a cell wall composed mainly of cellulose is located outside the cell membrane. Most plant cells have a large central vacuole that helps to maintain the turgidity of the cell. Nuclear region is undefined in prokaryotic cells and is called nucleoid. Mitochondria and plastids have their own DNA and ribosomes. Now I will ask you some questions. Hope children you will be able to answer them all correctly. Your first question: why is plasma membrane called a selectively permeable membrane? Children, I am repeating the question for you. Why is plasma membrane called a selectively permeable membrane? And the correct answer is because it allows the entry and exit of some materials in out of the cell, and it also prevents movement of some other materials, so it is called a selectively permeable membrane. Your next question, you have to fill in the blank. Mitochondria releases energy in the form of dash, and the correct answer is ATP. Mitochondria releases energy in the form of ATP. What is the full form of ATP? My next question, what is the full form of ATP? And the correct answer is adenosine triphosphate. The next question, name the process by which amoeba obtains its food. Name the process by which amoeba obtains its food. And the correct answer is by the process of endocytosis. Next question, define osmosis. The correct answer is the movement of water molecules through a selectively permeable membrane like plasma membrane is called osmosis. The next question, again you have to fill in the blank. Mitochondria is called dash of the cell. Mitochondria is called dash of the cell, and the answer is powerhouse. The next question, what is another term used for lysosomes? Children, your last question, what is another term used for lysosomes? And the correct answer is suicidal bags. Lysosomes are also called suicidal bags. With this, we come to the end of our lesson, the fundamental unit of life. Hope children, you enjoyed learning the lesson with me. But for a better understanding of the lesson, just read the lesson once from your textbooks and try to answer all the questions given in the exercise. We will meet again with the next lesson. Till then, take good care of yourself. Goodbye and thank you.